Hello and welcome back to Hull, where the season has ended and things have gone quite well. It is safe to say we have absolutely done better than the IRL Hull and absolutely smashed the in-game prediction, which was mid-table obscurity. In fact, actually, weirdly now, says prediction 16th. But as you can see there, position first. And first by a margin. 6 draws, 6 losses in the end, but 34 wins, which is a new league record. I don't know if 108 points is a new points record for the division. Definitely is for Hull, with all 3 of the top 3 average ratings in Chris Bedia, Abu Kamara and Ryan Giles. The top goal scorer in Abu Kamara, who did finally start scoring again, thankfully. And 2 of the top 3 assists in Ryan Longman and Ryan Giles on the other side. He mainly played left mid in the end rather than left back. So Hull will be a Premier League side next season. Portsmouth QPR actually got themselves off the bottom of the table then, despite being well separated at Christmas. I think it was 14 points on Christmas or January when we even checked in. So they did well in the second half of the season, weirdly, to get effectively 20 points or 21 points there or thereabouts. And Stoke unfortunately relegated on the final day because they lost. Had they won, they just stayed up because they had much better goal difference than Cardiff. Fortunately for them, they were in against a playoff hunting Derby. Good on Derby, but a little bit surprised to see them on 74 points. I'm not going to lie. Burnley, Middlesbrough, Sheffield United and Luton will contend the playoffs. Luton's in-game run is doing much better than their real-life one, that's for sure. But Sheffield, Burnley, they should be up there, of course, as relegated sides from last season. And Luton actually was a relegated side last season, so it's unsurprising in the game to see those 3 in the playoffs. Leeds obviously just took an extra year out, and Middlesbrough greatly improved over recent seasons, yet still yet to get promoted again, but there or thereabouts. Coventry, of course, there or thereabouts last season as well. And Sunderland going strong. Those ones have been around the playoffs last season, I think, as well. I think those are the 3 that failed the playoffs last year, along with Norwich, or were near to the playoffs anyway, because they can't be 4 failed playoff teams. I'm just going to play you the goals of the pivotal match. Unfortunately, the result is somewhat spoiled already, but it started strongly. 20 seconds, Semenov putting the ball into his own net. Portsmouth, frankly, in this game, doing everything they could to make us champions, apart from actually getting an equaliser early on in the first half. But thankfully, they absolutely mess up dealing with that cross, and the ball is hammered into the net from close range, and Bedia gets in once again on 32 minutes to make it 3-1 at half-time. What you do miss in between there is a second yellow card for Popov. Penalty makes it 5th, 5 goals, and then a 6th comes. Bear in mind, we spent this entire second half with 10 men, with, frankly, goal of the game. Mellum there, but Bedia completed his hat-trick. Abu Kamara got the penalty, of course, and then Mellum with a late one, despite the fact we played that entire second half with 1 less player. Portsmouth fans, look away, really. I should have preempted that, frankly, with that caveat, because for our historic season in the Championship, you saw last time we were here live the QPR game, which we won 3-1, thanks to Popov in part. That was the start of That was the start of an 8-game winning run, which saw us fend off Stoke City and Sunderland both 2-0. Leeds, away from home 3-1. We avenged ourselves in that one. They were one of the few teams that did actually beat us by that point. Things went a little bit off the rails after that point. 4-0 and 1-0 against Coventry and Cardiff, and then Blackburn 2-1. A late-ish winner there, Chris Bedia, 78th minute. I think the pivotal game, though, bear in mind we did finish 15 points ahead. We did then lose to Norwich immediately after this, was thanks to a Harry Darling own goal against Swansea, who, bear in mind, again, one of the teams that beat us earlier on, thought they were going to frustrate us once again. But cheers, Darling. Abu Kamara's consolation goal against Norwich was not enough to see off his former side, but of course he scored because, Burnley seen off with another late one, 90 plus 6, Dennis Popov at the double. Corners are a threat. Bristol 4-1, West Brom 3-0. There's the 6-1 that confirmed us as champions. We did follow up with a 1-0 against Oxford, and then we went on holiday against Luton and Sheffield Wednesday, but still only 1 goal margin losses, but yeah, not great. And I generally thought we were just going to go, no, that's it. 105 points. That'll do us. Whatever. Sure. And then 5-2 against Millwall on the final day, where weirdly, Abu Kamara took a penalty just by the fact that Chris Bedia was on a hat-trick. So I do need to double check because I thought that was on as standard, and it isn't. It is worth noting, though, 2 of those losses in those last 4 after being confirmed champions, we did play all of the high potential players that we could, of course, because Balumi and Gonzalez play exactly the same position. We were playing all of them. Hughes was playing anyway because of a Benkovic injury, which I think is still happening. Oh, he's just come back. So we were playing Gonzalez as a starter. We were playing Harry Vaughan, whose potential actually isn't 5 stars anymore. We were playing Hughes anyway, but we would have started playing him regardless. We tended to bring on Balumi with enough time for him to get the minutes that count. We were starting Dahl anyway towards the end of the season because I got kind of fed up with Luke Thomas putting in 6.58s last 5. You can see it there. Dahl at least was averaging average. Thomas was averaging a bit rubbish. Zambaran on loan from a team that we don't really care about, Liga de Quito. I don't know what's going on with that in real life. I don't know why they have him on loan from them specifically. But Aguga we played, of course, and Xavier Simons I played as well in those last 4. They're probably actually those last 4 starts, although he was injured, I think, maybe for the last one. So that is most of those. We don't actually have any expiring contracts at the end of this year. Only the loan players go back to their parents' club, and that is that. Galvao is mad because I won't give him a new contract despite the fact he's 33. Put in an average of 6.65, 6.54 over the last 4 games, although his total average rating is 7. But 9 goals in 24 starts and only 4 assists. 13 goal contributions in 24 starts, 7 substitute appearances. 2,000 minutes on the pitch. You can sort of see the problem. He is technically 5th highest goal scorer, but he is behind 3 of the other strikers in that and a defender. Camara with 28 goals in 2,800 minutes, nearly 2,900, and 2 assists. That's 30 goal contributions in 34 starts for Camara. 24 goal contributions in 31 starts for Bedia, who was on loan in fairness. Then 11 goal contributions for 10 starts for Mason Burstow. Just 1,000 minutes on the exactly half of the minutes of Galvao and only 2 less goal contributions and a better average rating and worth more because he's younger. You can see why I might not want to give Galvao a new contract in favour of maybe selling him in the summer. I think Galvao might do well. Okay, he's Brazilian. I was just like, why is he declared for Italy? That confused me. It confused me because that was about to be my next sentence. I'm pretty certain he was Brazilian all the way through the year and he's just literally declared for Italy over the course of this season. But I'm thinking Italy might be a sensible place for him to go. 20 grand a week, one of our highest earners. It's a problem. Also a problem, briefly at least, was model citizen Sean McLaughlin, who late in the season demanded a new contract and wanted £26,000 a week. Also, he wanted to be a regular starter, so actually, the £26,000 was the estimate from his agent. I never got that far because he refused to move off regular starter at the start of the contract negotiations. He would not accept fringe, he would not accept squad. When it came to discussing the promise of offering a new contract, and I said, well, I offered you one, but, he didn't like it. He went, all right, fair enough. Model citizen coming through there, at least, even if he was insane in his demands to begin with. Realistically, though, there is a fair amount of fodder to get rid of. We'll just obviously ship off Matty Jacob as best we can. Worth 10 grand, just get out. You shouldn't be in this club, even in the Championship. Sorry, mate. I don't know if you've been underrated or what, but 1.5 star, 2 star maximum. What are you doing here? And then there's players like Alfie Jones who have played bit parts. I've no idea how they're going to survive next year. Louis Coyle, of course, right back and left back potential, but 2.5 star, no development space. Worth 10.5 million with 2 years on his contract. Obviously a rotation option towards the start of the season. Played a fair few games from the start just because of rotation purposes, but we did bring in Emil Kraft, who is 3.5 star or 3.5 star and only 1 year older, surprisingly. Might be on more money, but his contract is slightly longer, actually worth basically roughly the same. But between him and Drame, we do basically have right back covered. In fact, Kraft's regarded as being better, even though Drame is 22 and got an extra star's worth of potential in him. I suspect there might be a fair few people coming to ask for new contracts, looking at Drame being on 3 grand a week, apparently. Alzati might be a problem because he was already moaning about game time when he only missed like 2 games last season. So I think he might be one of the, I want a new contract. Although, actually, we might have already promised him a new contract, thinking about it. Yes, 16 grand a week starting at the end of the season. I thought there was something going on there. He was actually reasonable. And I believe there's someone else in exactly that same boat starting a new contract at the end of the year. I can't remember who it is, but I also just noticed something even worse in Omer's contract. He's already the highest earned player despite being bang average, and that is the fact he has a 50% promotion wage rise. Yep, he's going to be impossible to shift, I feel like, just because his wages are going to be £35,000 a week, essentially. And I've got a horrible feeling there might be a few people in a similar boat, because I have not looked through every single contract. Yep, at the very least, Giles is only 25%. That's manageable, or 15 grand a week. That might actually fend off any contract negotiations for the time being. Everyone else is on kind of low enough contracts that even a 50% boost isn't too detrimental. But Omer ending up on 35 grand a week is... yeah, for 10 goal contributions in 1,700 minutes, it's not horrendous, but when Longman's put in 23 in across the season, Ryan Giles from the left has put in 18. Gonzalez, 10 contributions in the same position, essentially, on the left-hand side. Omer's on the right. Same number of goal contributions, 1,000 minutes exactly, 700 minutes less than Omer, and he's on 2,200. And he says 7, that's Mellum. But even Miller, who ended up playing less minutes than Omer in the end, got 10 goal contributions, and he's on 5 grand a week. So, Omer, chopping block, mate. Your wages are going to be spent on someone who is actually worth that money when we get promoted. We're still stuck in that situation of we're promoted, but we haven't had the reputation boost, so nobody's interested that might want to join us. We had the shout of Weston McKennie in the Twitch chat when we were playing through the second half of the season. He's listed at 2.1 million. He has no interest right now, obviously, but he would only be regarded 4 stars, which did surprise me that this was only regarded essentially equal to our best player. His wages are obviously insane, but I don't know if this isn't doable once we get the reputation boost from being promoted. Other things to note is we do have youngsters coming in that we signed post-deadline day. 2-star Clusterbert, maybe 5-star. I think we paid like $1 million up front for him. And then a bunch of releases from the top clubs who might have a smidge of potential. Rosiak, another one from Arsenal. Cabio, another one from Arsenal. And Pesh, I think, might already have been on the list, but we had to wait till the end of the year to get him in. His potential's not actually that great. But that's where we are with next season. So there's no guaranteed end of contract deals for people who would start. So essentially, we are open to people in basically every position that isn't left mid, because we have Gonzalez and Belubi, who both have got potential. So both are going to stay there. Right back, because we've got Drame and Kraft. They're both 2 strong players. We have a Google. We have Xavier Simons, who has the potential. So there's 2 players in the Volante roles who are young, decent, and have potential. But probably not Premier League level. So they're likely to be the ones we sub on. Whether Alzate, who's obviously got a new contract, but Mellum, Slater, etc., so forth, the players that we've had there over the course of the season are going to be there next season, I don't know. All of the transfer window we'll do on Twitch. In fact, it might have already happened by the time this has gone live. But at the very least, you can join us in the second season, which I suspect will probably still be on. But you might have missed the transfer window by the time this actually goes live. We're realistically looking for people in every position except left mid, right back, and Charlie, who's, of course, with the potential, probably going to keep him in centre back. But Camera, great up front. Burstow's got the potential up front as well a little bit. Bedier's back on back off his loan. We might be looking at strikers, centre backs, heck, even goalkeeper. I don't really know what's going on there. Nuno Santos was constantly looking at him, even though Forest don't need any more goalkeepers, really. Although I think they've actually got less goalkeepers in the game than they do in real life. Left back is obviously a big problem because Ryan Giles is mostly left mid, but we might start playing him left back in favour of Gonzalez on left mid, for instance. Essentially, there's options across the board except for left mid and right back. They're the only 2 where guaranteed we don't need any more players at this point in time. As for next season, we only have 25 million in the bank, but it's not added any end of season monies yet. I don't know when that comes in or if it does. If there is any more to come, I should say. 35 million is what they've given us and effectively double our wage bill. The double the wage bill feels like a lot, but it's not, let's be honest, for the Premier League. And 35 million in this day and age, like a reasonable player, costs 10 to 15 million, thereabouts, if you get a good deal on them. Like a reasonable player for a team that wants to stay up. There might be bargains about, like Weston McKennie for 2 million, for instance. But it's that kind of deal we're going to have to make. 35 million doesn't go as far as you think it will in the Premier League either. And it's not something that you really see, but because we got promoted, they have given us plenty of scouts. No more coaches, weirdly. And I also have two more assistant managers, one more assistant manager than I actually need, so I don't know what's going on there, but I'm not going to fire them because they're on contract till 2026, and it means I've got an extra coach that I can use. But we get more physios and another sports scientist, which of course should help the fitness levels of the squad in the Premier League, which I'm very happy about. But because we've got more scouts, it means we've got much more range. I've actually already signed them. Japanese Yamamoto, Hungarian Hushti, which came with a whole host of knowledge. Egyptian Lofty, and I think Herber was the other one, who is Polish, but comes with a whole range of Croatia, Czechia, Slovakia, Serbia nations, which tend to produce good youths now and then. So with that world knowledge coming in, that will improve recruitment focuses like this, who we keep an eye on. And actually, I realised Joe Bellingham has entered the picture. 15 million. It's a 24-25 database. They might have been a bit kind to Joe Bellingham, who there is obviously the constant question mark of, is he overhyped because of Jude Bellingham, or is he actually just good as well? The answer in game is he's just good as well. And Sunderland, I'm pretty certain, missed out on playoffs. Wolves won him. Wait, hang on. Is he genuinely a good advanced forward? Interesting. Absolutely wild. That would be an excellent volante and an excellent advanced forward. That is a versatile player that would be really useful in our squad. I've not used, but I don't think I've used a Bellingham full stop in Football Manager, because by the time Jude was any good, he was already off, and I could never afford him. We might need a marquee signing, and interestingly, of course, he's still young enough. We could adopt the new Frank Lampard. I mean, with that array of midfield options, yes. I mean, the new Jude Bellingham would probably be more appropriate, but he's young enough that I think we could make him homegrown Hull if we sign him immediately. Keep an eye on this one, but I might make him my top target. But Leeds are, I should have said, of course, that Leeds are joining us in the Premier League, so that does mean there are two Yorkshire teams now, again, and Brentford won the Carabao Cup and are currently, they've still got 2 games to play in the Premier League, so I can't confirm who will be relegated. Looks like Leicester are safe, bizarrely, on 49 points, but Southampton effectively relegated, 6 points, 2 games to go. Brentford and Wolverhampton are in danger, which is interesting that Wolverhampton are interested in Joe Bellingham. If Wolves get relegated, that makes our job easy on trying to sign him, I'd have thought. Brentford could genuinely be playing Conference League football in the Championship. Europa Conference League, I should say. I mean, the game's broken. Cavalier's got 16 goals. Love the lad, but gone way off the boil in real life. Mind you, Everton were 7th in here, so this is obviously insane anyway. Regardless, you'll get the news on how the first half of the Premier League campaign goes in the next video on YouTube, but as I say, we'll likely be live on Twitch around the time this goes live. Maybe not exactly the time this goes live, but in the daytimes, afternoons. My schedule's a little bit in flux at this stage of re-entry to Twitch, so I cannot be confident exactly on when exactly we will be streaming, but if you're enjoying this updated database Hull save, I don't think there's any more admin to talk about. I did improve the youth recruitment at one point, but that's about it. Then you know what to do. I'm already favoured personnel. Sorry, I just got distracted. That might be behind my face. I'll make it visible, but I'm already favoured personnel. Blimey, Hull fans are easily pleased, aren't they? Apparently. Sorry. But yeah, if you're enjoying this, you know what to do. Until next time, ta-ra.